So the Springfield Prodigy 4¼ inch. I've got 900 rounds through it. As of today, we're gonna put another 100 through it, and this will be the 1,000 round review. Still runs well. Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical, your source for Second Amendment news, gun reviews, and more. And today is the 1,000 round review of this, the 4¼ inch Springfield Prodigy double stack 1911. And if you guys have been following along, I've put out a number of videos with this pistol. I wanted to perform an experiment because of kind of the negative press that this thing got when it first came out. A lot of people seem to have some issues with them. So I waited a little while before I got mine because it was something I was very excited to get. I've always wanted to get into a 2011 and a one that's actually affordable, that's a production gun, seemed very attractive to me. And so I waited a little bit, I got one, and then as you guys know, I really like upgrading, modifying, customizing guns. But I wanted to wait on this one before doing any work to it. I wanted to put 1,000 rounds through it and be able to bring you guys a 1,000 round review with all stock parts. Now I did add a red dot and a light, but all the internals are stock. Nothing has been changed as far as internal parts. Let's see how she did. So back here at 40 yards, gonna see if we can get some hits on steel today. Not as good as I've done in the past. This is why I love this Prodigy. So what do you use a pistol like this for? Well, in my opinion, it's a little bit big for a concealed carry gun. Now you could put maybe a smaller light on it and run it in an appendix holster, and people carry bigger guns than this all the time. But for me, for what my day-to-day life is, this is a big gun to carry on me. Well, so is it a good home defense gun? Well, that depends on reliability. So we're going to talk about how reliable this thing has been through the first 1,000 rounds, because that's exactly what I want to use it for, is my bedside gun. But it has to be vetted. And until I got this, my bedside gun has been this Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 full-size 9mm. It's been a very, very reliable firearm for me. But if you've done any shooting with a 2011, you know how much easier it is to shoot something like this fast and accurate, even than something as good as the M&P 2.0. Before we get started on the reliability and how this thing shoots, I just want to go up close. I'm going to show you guys everything about it, just as a recap. I know that you probably know a lot about this gun by now anyway, but I want to go over some of the features that I really like about it, and also the things that have become problematic. What do you think of it?
Fucking love it, dude. This is a damn good gun. Hell yeah.
So when you purchase this gun, it comes in the standard Springfield Armory pistol box with the standard Springfield Armory little pistol bag here, which actually I've found to be very useful. It comes with 2 magazines, one 20 round and one 17-round magazine. I have since purchased a second 20-round magazine. They are hard to find in stock right now, but this little bag actually is very useful. With the 17-round magazine in the gun, it fits in here just fine. A couple of 20-rounders fit in there, and it's a great way to take it with me. Inside the box, of course, you get all your paperwork. You get these little wrenches. And what comes on the pistol is this, but I took that off, obviously, in order to mount a red dot. Now, it does come with a plate for the Hex Dragonfly optic, which nobody likes and nobody wants to use. So, of course, you have to go out of your way to find an RMR plate or whatever optic you do decide to use. I decided to use the Holosun 407C, which does use the same RMR footprint. That optic plate was very hard to find at first, and it is one of the only things that I've had a problem with when it comes to this firearm. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So, besides these two accessories, which Streamlight TLR1HL, I just absolutely love this light. I think it's an incredible value, about half the cost of a Surefire X300. Has plenty of output as far as lumens and candela go for anything that I need to use a pistol for. And it mounts on here great. With the size of this gun, it's very easy to actuate the light just the way you should, whether with your offhand or your actual trigger finger. When it came to getting the optic plate, it took me a while to find one, but eventually I did. And we're going to talk about what that problem was with that here in a second. But first, let's just go over the features of the gun, kind of from back to front. The grip module is a polymer grip module, and it is fantastic in my opinion. This gun feels really, really good in your hand. It's got a nice beaver tail here with your memory bump on your grip safety. And the grip safety is very easy to actuate. I've never had a problem going for the gun, bringing it up in front of me, and not having the grip safety actuated. It works just as it should. They do have this one finger groove right here, and a very nice undercut under the trigger guard, which really makes it easy to get a good high grip on the gun. 1911s generally, well, they have kind of a high bore axis, so getting as high a grip as you can is very helpful. And it is a double undercut, so it really helps for your support hand as well. Now the trigger guard does have some more of this texture on the front of it in case that's the way you grip your firearm. Obviously with a light, you can't really grip it that way, but it is there, which is nice. This grip texture that they use is the adaptive grip texture. It's the same stuff that they put on the Hellcat Pro, and it doesn't look very aggressive, but I have not had any problems keeping this gun. Like, the grip kind of grips you back, which is really nice. Now it does have an ambidextrous thumb safety here, which is very crisp, very tactile. Now it does have a little bit of vertical play. So clicked into safe, when you click it into fire, you can see that it does move a little bit from there. I've never noticed it when I'm actually shooting the gun because I use that thumb safety as a gas pedal or as a recoil control device, which is exactly how you're supposed to shoot 1911s, 2011s. You know, if you have your thumb underneath it, under recoil, you could accidentally put it back in safe. And so you just want to keep your thumb on top of that while you're shooting. Helps to control the recoil, helps keep your gun in fire. Now, one of the only issues I've had with this gun, there's been two small issues, has been this ambidextrous thumb safety. This part does seem to walk out after being actuated on and off a zillion times. And all I ever have to do is kind of pinch it back in and it's good to go again. But if it is walking out, it makes it hard to actuate the safety from this side. Luckily, even though I am left-handed, I shoot right-handed, so I'm never really actuating the safety from that side anyway. But just something to note. This is, a sample size of 1. I'm not sure how many other people have had any issues like that. From there, we do have a skeletonized combat hammer. And this hammer is very easy to get a hold of with your thumb if you need to. I've got no problems with that. It rests nicely in your beaver tail there. It's also got a skeletonized, kind of a standard 1911 trigger bow, which is, I like it. It feels really good. The size of the grip puts the pad of my finger right on that trigger. And let's test that pull weight real quick. So, stock trigger, nothing changed on the internals. It has had 1,000 rounds through it. That is it. 3.8 pounds. I'll go one more time here. 4.0 pounds. 3.8 pounds. So a little bit less than a 4-pound trigger, stock from the factory. It is very crisp. You have a little bit of take up, just like any 1911. And it is extremely crisp, no over travel. Here's your reset, right back to the wall. It's a very, very usable trigger. It is kind of set up as far as like a duty weight, not a competition weight trigger, but those things are very easy to change if you'd like to. Now, when it comes to the actual frame of the gun, it is a forged steel frame. So it's a 3-piece design, just like every 2011, where you have polymer grip module, forged steel frame, forged slide, forged steel barrel. And the frame, your slide stop here, slide release, is sunk into it flush, which I know some people have complained about that it's hard to actuate. I actuate that on a 1911 with my offhand anyway, and I've had no issues with it, and I kind of like the way it looks and feels. The dust cover comes all the way forward, which is very nice. And the slide, again, forged steel with very usable serrations in the back and the front. I like to run this gun from the front because I have an optic back here, and so having those front slide serrations is very nice. You can see how smooth the slide to the frame is. The fit is very tight. There is a little tiny bit of play, but you probably want that for reliability purposes. But just very, very smooth. And from that shows you the forged steel bull barrel. And this is a big bull barrel, which is nice. It adds weight to the front of the gun, which helps control recoil. And I have had no issues with this barrel. It's been very, very accurate. It's been fantastic. Suppressor height sights comes standard with a front fiber optic and a blacked out rear U-notch. I like these sights quite a bit. Even before I put the red dot on it, they were very usable, very, just very easy sights to use. I'm extremely happy with them. And from there, we do have the AOS mounting system, agency optic system for the red dot. And that is one of the only other issues that I've had with this, but it might be my fault. So all of my other pistol optics, before I got this one, were direct mounted to the slide. And I've basically just used the wrench that came with them, screwed it in as tight as possible, and I've never had an issue. Well, this mounting plate has come loose twice. The second time I did have blue Loctite on it and it came loose again. So finally, I spent a bunch of money on this. This is a Vortex torque wrench, which, you know, I should have anyway because I'm always building and modifying guns. And so I took everything out, cleaned it all, cleaned the screw holes, reattached everything. I used blue Loctite on the plate again, torqued it down to 24 pounds. And then I torqued my optic screws to 15 pounds, and I've not had an issue since. So really, those are my only small issues have been this ambidextrous safety walking out and this plate coming loose. Although once you follow the manufacturer's instructions and torque it down properly, the plate seems to be just fine. It does have one other thing that people have talked about and complained about is the 2-piece full-length guide rod. A lot of people are replacing them with a toolless guide rod from Atlas Gunworks, which I think is a great upgrade. But at the same time, I don't have any problem with this. I've cleaned this gun a number of times. All you gotta do is stick an Allen wrench in there, loosen it up. The thing comes apart very easily. If you're used to field stripping 1911s, I don't really have any problem with it, but toolless, of course, would be better. So I didn't do too good from farther back today, so brought it a little closer. See how she does. Good as always. So how does the gun shoot? Well, this is what I love about this gun. It is an absolute pleasure to shoot. 9mm 1911s in general are just a pleasure to shoot. This 1911 right here is Springfield Ronin 9mm, and it's just a joy to shoot. Well, and this is no different. The difference is that you get a red dot, you get a light, and you get a 20-round capacity. So you get everything that you love about a 1911, plus everything that you love about like modern polymer striker fired guns, all in one package. And that is what's so nice about it. Now there are some considerations when running a 1911. You do have to, think about your safeties, all of that, because that's part of the deal with a single action gun. The trigger is so light and crisp, you do have to run your safety just like you would on your carbine or anything else. As soon as you're done shooting, you put it on safe. When you pull from your holster and present, you put it on fire. Very simple, just something that you have to pay attention to. Now, when it does come to shooting this gun, my favorite thing about it is how fast you can go and how quickly the sights return to where they're supposed to be, which that is what makes it able to be shot fast. The faster that your sights come back on target, the faster you can pull that trigger and put accurate hits on target, which is what we all want to do. And this thing recoils so little, and it's not comped, any of that kind of stuff. Just the design of the gun itself, it does have a lot of weight out here, and 9mm is not a very heavy recoiling cartridge as it is. And so it's just really easy to shoot fast and accurate, which is a lot of fun. The problem is you do end up going through a lot of ammo very quickly. I just ordered another 1,000-round case of this AAC 124 grain full metal jacket this morning because I'm going through lots of it with this gun because you just want to keep shooting it. The other thing is you can actually shoot it very accurately from pretty decent distances. Now today I tried to shoot it at 40 yards and I got about 50% hits, which was actually the exception, not the rule with this gun. Every other time that I've taken it back to some greater distances, I've been able to consistently put shots on target, which has been really fun and satisfying. So if you're used to shooting, Glocks or something, and I'm not saying that you can't shoot a Glock very accurately at distance or very quickly close up, something like this just makes it that much easier. And to be able to get into a 2011 style gun for the price that you can get these at is pretty fantastic. So this Prodigy has been 100% reliable through 950 rounds now. I literally have nothing bad to say about it. Okay, a little better. Now, reliability. Has it been reliable? Because you could have the best shooting gun in the world, but if it isn't reliable, well, that's a major problem. Like this 1911 here had some issues when I first got it, and it's taken me a long time to be able to trust it again, even though it runs perfectly now. And so that was one of my biggest concerns when I decided to get into the Springfield Prodigy, having already had that problem with a Springfield 9mm 1911 and seeing the other problems people were having with these, I was a little bit concerned. Hence why I waited before I went to purchase mine. Luckily, it does seem that Springfield has worked out all of those initial issues. This gun, 1,000 rounds, actually more than 1,000 because I've also ran some different hollow points through it just to make sure that it'll cycle those. And we'll get to that in a second. So a little bit over 1,000 rounds, I have had 2 malfunctions. I did have one stovepipe very early on with some 147 grain full metal jacket that just didn't eject all the way. That happened one time. And then one time with 124 grain FMJ, I did have where it didn't quite go all the way into battery, and I just had to tap the back once, and it was good to go again. Each of those things only happened one time in over 1,000 rounds. Other than that, it's been perfectly reliable, and that includes with hollow point ammunition. Now, what I am using as far as defensive ammo in this gun at this point is the Speer Gold Dot G2, which is this. And the reason for that is this. I did run a bunch of this SIG Elite Defense through it. Now, my normal carry ammo is Federal HST, but my local gun store was out of them, and so I bought a bunch of this, and the gun ran it perfectly. Although, there was a few times when I was at home when I went to rack around into the chamber and it got hung up on the feed ramp. And so that concerned me with something that I was going to use possibly for home defense, self-defense at some point. I wanted to make sure that that wasn't going to happen when I needed it to work. And so I went and bought a bunch of these, the Speer Gold Dot. The shape of the nose of the bullet is a little bit more rounded, a little more smooth, and I've had no issues with them. Now, don't get me wrong, like I said, at the range, it had no problems with this or any other hollow points or full metal jacket rounds that I've put through it. It's ran everything perfectly fine. I just was a little bit concerned about that when I racked it a couple times and that first round got hung up on the feed ramp. And so that's why I'm running the Speer Gold Dot. These are a very well-respected defensive load, and they've been tried and true, and so I trust them. And I've put a bunch of them through this without any issues. If you're looking to get into a 2011, I really can't say enough good things about the Springfield Prodigy. For about $2,000, you can be set up with an optic and a light, and a 2011 style pistol, double stack, 1911, that runs really good. I've had 0 reliability issues with mine. Super accurate. The only time I miss, that is my fault, not the guns. And yeah, it's just fast and it's fun. And that's 1,000 rounds. Now, how have the magazines worked? Because one of the things that a lot of people talked about in the beginning was that they thought that the problems people were having stemmed from the Springfield Prodigy magazines. And so a lot of people were running staccato mags, Atlas mags, in order to alleviate some of those issues. Well, mine came, as they all do, with one 20 round and one 17 round magazine. I have since purchased another 20 round magazine, and I've run hundreds of rounds through all 3 of these magazines with 0 issues whatsoever. Hence, part of the problem why people can't find these magazines, because they do sell them at a lower cost than staccato magazines, but they are compatible. And so I think a lot of staccato owners are buying up the Springfield Prodigy magazines because they do the same dang thing for a lower cost. But I've had no problem with these magazines whatsoever. They're high quality, they feed great, no issues, and in fact, these magazines are really nice. They're very easy to load rounds into compared to most of my other double stack magazines for everything else. A lot of the time I'll use like a Maglula mag loader when I'm loading up things like this, Glock magazines, whatever. With this, I don't even feel the need to. The rounds just go in that easily. And it hasn't been a problem at all. Haven't had a problem with rounds nosediving or anything, except, like I said, those couple times trying to rack the first round of this Elite Defense into it. But changing up the ammo has alleviated that issue. So do I recommend the Springfield Prodigy? Yes. Yes, I definitely do. In fact, I am in love with this pistol. Of all of my guns, this is the one that I'm most excited about shooting. For the last few months, I film different videos with different things every week. And so I shoot a lot of different stuff. But I was still able to put 1,000 rounds through this, even while shooting other things all the time, over just a couple months' time. This is the first gun that I've owned that I've actually kept track of the round count, because I wanted to be able to do a 1,000 round review in its stock configuration to tell everyone the truth about these, because I think a lot of people are still concerned because of the problems that they had very early on. Well, I don't think you have to worry about that anymore. I think Springfield has obviously fixed those. I am paying very close attention to everything else that's going on with this gun, and it seems that everyone that has bought one more recently has a very reliable pistol. And the people that bought them very early on, if they had to send them back to Springfield, they were fixed and sent back to them, and they've worked fine since. Mine has been perfectly reliable through 1,000 rounds. I trust this gun with my life as much as I trust any other firearm that I own, and in fact, more than I trust some of them. This thing has been perfect. It's been fantastic. I can't say enough good things about it. Ergonomically, it feels just great. It points very naturally. The fact that you could put an optic and a light on it and have the ergonomics and controls and shootability of a 1911, but with 20 or even 26 round capacity, it's a winner in my book. This gun, I could see why people love 2011 so much. And it's actually gotten me more excited about the whole 2011 area. I definitely want to get into more and higher end 2011s at some point. But at the same time, I'm very happy with this gun. And therein lies a bit of a problem. I like to constantly get new firearms and stuff. I've been looking recently at the Beretta 92XI, the single action one. Also the SIG P226, single action only Legion. There are a number of other pistols that I'd love to get, but I'm worried that none of them are going to shoot as well as this, and I'm going to spend all this money on something new and not even want to shoot it because this might shoot so much better. 2011s really are the best shooting guns. They're fantastic. And then you can customize them and really make them something incredible. People are porting these, comping them, changing out the internals for EGW kits, doing, there's a lot of stuff you could do. It's modular. You can put different grip frames on it if you want. There are tons of things that you can do to these. And so now I'm trying to decide if that's what I do. Instead of spending my money on a new pistol, do I make this one just absolutely incredible? Because for the price that I got this at, which was about $1,300, and then you add the light and the red dot, I'm still under $2,000. Now, if I put another $400 or $500 into it, I could have something really, really phenomenal for still lower than the price of entry of like a Staccato P. And so that is what is so attractive about this gun, is that you can really build it out to be something fantastic and still be less than $3,000, which sounds like a lot of money when it comes to a pistol, but when it comes to 2011s, that's actually very cheap. So am I going to upgrade the internals? I might. I wanted to do the first 1,000 rounds stock just to see how it ran, how it performed, how reliable it was, how it shot. And I've been impressed across the board. This thing has been a very, very satisfying gun. I'm extremely happy that I got it, and I recommend it to anybody. But I also am who I am, and I can't leave things well enough alone. I do believe I'll be sending this off probably to Skip's Guns to have some work done to it. Maybe get a medium Atlas trigger. I like flat face triggers. Lower the trigger pull weight, maybe by a pound to get it down to about 3 pounds instead of 4. EGW internals, because it does have metal injected molded parts. Although they haven't been any problem for me, they just might not last quite as long as, billet parts that are machined. And if this is a gun I'm going to be shooting as much as I plan to shoot it, then maybe it's worthwhile to get all those kinds of things upgraded. I haven't made my decision just yet, but I kind of have. And so once I do get those things done to it, I will definitely bring you guys an update and tell you if it's worth it, if it makes that much of a difference to spend that extra money or not. Because right out of the box, it's a pretty fantastic pistol. So if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed to Sawtooth Tactical, and let me know down in the comments if you have experience with the Springfield Prodigy, whether the 4 1/4 or 5-inch. I would love to know whether your experience has been good, bad, or anything in between. And I answer every comment. I love to interact with you guys. So any interaction that you could do with the channel helps me out in a huge way as far as working the algorithm and getting this video out to more people. So from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.